Today, we're in Atlanta, Georgia, going back to October 2019. 21-year-old Alexis Crawford was a senior at Clark Atlanta University, getting ready for graduation and celebrations. Her family and her faith were everything to her. She was from a big and loving family with 5 brothers and 4 sisters. She was very close to her parents as well. Her friends said she always had such a confidence in her own abilities and worked hard for every achievement she had. She was thoughtful, affectionate, fun. Her passionate sense of right and wrong was further fueled by growing up with her dad, Bobby, who worked in law enforcement, and the apple didn't fall far from the tree. Alexis was studying criminal justice and wanted to go into something that would help people and make positive changes. Alexis lived with 21-year-old Jordan Jones in an off-campus apartment. They were described as 2 peas in a pod, with Alexis calling her best friend. Jordan knew Alexis's family well and even spent Thanksgiving and Easter with them. In terms of being randomly put with someone to live with, it seemed that they had both really landed on their feet. On October 30th at around 3:30 p.m, Alexis's mum Tammy and her sister Monica FaceTimed her. She seemed to be in good spirits. They joked around and she was chatty. Alexis then asked Monica if she could send her some money through Cash App. Bobby said it was fine and Monica sent her some. Later that night, just before 9 p.m, Alexis's sister Alexandria texted her to ask her what her plans were. It was homecoming weekend at the college, and over the coming days there would be a lot of celebration and parties going on across campus. But it seemed Alexis wasn't up to anything, as she responded simply saying, nothing. Alexis then shared a post on Instagram at 9:03 and responded to an Instagram group message about 20 minutes after that. Following this, no one heard from her. As daylight broke and morning rolled around, Alexis was still silent. She spoke to someone in her family every single day, every hour almost, but now her phone was going straight to voicemail. On November 1st, Alexis was absent from class, and then later didn't show up for a shift at work. Now this was as far from her character as you could get, and her family were extremely worried. Alexis didn't miss anything, let alone without an excuse. Something was wrong, and they reported her missing.
Missing Clark Atlanta student Naima Abdullahi joining us now from the Atlanta University Center. Naima, what do we know here?
Sheba, family and friends of 21-year-old Alexis Crawford desperately need your help to find her. That they're concerned for her safety and they're hoping to find her safely. We first found out about this yesterday, and here's what we know so far. Atlanta police confirmed a missing person report has been filed for the Clark Atlanta University senior. Her brother says that she was last seen on Wednesday, October 30th. Alexis Crawford is originally from Athens and lives off campus while attending Clark Atlanta University this semester. We're told school officials have been notified about her disappearance now. Police right now are also aware of what's going on. The university is aware, and now the family is asking for the public's help to find her. So if anyone saw her, know anything or saw anything, to contact police immediately.
CCTV confirmed that Alexis had left the Heritage Station apartments, and her roommate Jordan said she drove her to a liquor store at around 11:30 p.m, not too far from their building. She then saw Alexis about an hour later before she went to sleep. Jordan told police that when she woke up on what was now Thursday, October 31st, Alexis wasn't around. She had started sleeping in the living room, but there was no trace she had been in there that night. Jordan looked around the apartment and noticed that her phone, ID, and debit card were also gone. As she went to leave for class, she found the door was locked. Perhaps she had left to join a party or meet up with some more friends late that night, but the only CCTV they had was from the liquor store, and none of her other friends said they had seen her that night.
In the last hour, Atlanta police have released new images of a missing Clark Atlanta student. These photos taken inside of a liquor store just hours before Alexis Crawford disappeared. Police think she may have been wearing the same outfit.
The hashtag Let's Find Lex started trending on social media, and volunteers were out searching, focusing closely on an overgrown area across the street from her apartment. She had never been reported missing before. There was no activity on her phone or bank accounts, and given everything they knew about how conscientious she was, especially when it came to her family, hope was quickly being replaced by fear of the worst-case scenario. But the police said they couldn't rule anything out. It was still possible that she had run away for some unknown reason.
No one has heard from Alexis Crawford for nearly a week.
Alexis Crawford's parents were here along with her siblings, her cousins, other family members and friends, praying for her safe return. They were holding hands in prayer, and they were also joined by the Clark Atlanta University president, who says that the campus community is completely devastated after Crawford's disappearance.
Earlier today, with the Clark Atlanta Police Department's Chief of Police, Chief Deborah Williams, and she assured this family that the Clark Atlanta Police Department would do everything it could to bring this young lady home to her family. And we just finished a meeting with the senior leadership here in the Atlanta Police Department, who also assured this family that as the lead investigative agency, they would do all that they could. And the family and I have great confidence in the men and women that are looking for Ms. Crawford. And we have every reason to believe that Atlanta police will get to the bottom of what happened to her. But today I stand with this family asking for several things of the people of Atlanta. First, I would ask the people of Atlanta to pray for the family and for Ms. Crawford. Secondly, and more importantly, there are people in this community, students in the AU Center and other places, that may have information that can be helpful in finding out just where Ms. Crawford is. And I would ask the people of Atlanta to come forward with any information that you might have to help the Atlanta Police Department to do their very best in finding Ms. Crawford and bringing her home. First person that I would ask to speak is Mr. Bobby Wright, who is Ms. Crawford's father, who drove up from Athens and has made the determination he's not leaving the city until his baby is found.
Baby, I love you, baby. Just come home. Come home, baby. Come home. I love you. Just come home. I'm not gonna leave until you get home.
And I hope God's walking with you, and please prevent any evil that comes our way. And we're here for you. I love you, Alexis, and miss you.
As you can see, the emotions are running very deep. This is a praying, believing family, and they do believe in their holding faith that Alexis will come home.
Officers were calling around the local hospitals and doctors to see if anyone had checked in, perhaps under Jane Doe, and they suddenly got some information that would bring their search for Alexis back to where she was last seen, her apartment. When she went missing, the family's pastor and spokesperson, Reverend Mark Al Hutchins, said, "We know she's going through a lot. She recently experienced some things that no woman should ever have to experience, and so we ask the people of Atlanta to pray for Alexis and her family." At the time, it was not alluded to what this meant, but it would come to light that on October 27th, 3 days before she went missing, she had actually gone to the hospital and filed a police report, stating she believed she had been sexually assaulted by none other than Jordan's boyfriend, 21-year-old Baron Brantley. On the 27th of October, the three of them were having some drinks at the girl's apartment, and Baron had tried to kiss and touch her, advances that she had rejected. He claimed he thought that she was Jordan, and Alexis, very freaked out, went into her bedroom. He followed her in, and then she went into the bathroom alone and closed the door. She said she didn't remember anything after that and passed out. When she woke up, she found her underwear had been ripped and Baron was partly dressed. Jordan had even been banging on the door, and when Baron opened it, she described him as disrobed, and the first thing he said to her was, "I did not rape Alexis." By 6 a.m, Baron had already left in Jordan's car, and this was just before the police arrived at the apartment. Jordan in fact called 911, but not to report the attack. It was to report him taking off in her car. Nothing about the alleged assault was mentioned, and she also referred to him as her ex-boyfriend, something which contradicted every other account of them being together at that point.
Hey, what's the address of the emergency? You need police, fire, EMS. Yes, because my ex-boyfriend just stole my car. He took my keys and went. Okay. What's your name? Jordan Jones. All right, Miss Jones. Jordyn. We'll get an office out for you.
Alexis then went to Grady Hospital to do a rape kit, which did link right back to Barron, showing traces of his semen inside her. While she was going through all of this, Jordan, knowing what was going on, snuck Barron back into her room where he remained for the next few days. But Alexis told friends she wasn't comfortable sleeping in her room anymore, hence her moving into the living area. She was scared and unsafe, and everything was pending on the police report. And as she was staying in the living area and keeping away from the apartment, she had no idea he was still staying there. Officers went straight back to her apartment to talk to the pair. Jordan said that yes, she had reported this, and as a result, she and Alexis were no longer on speaking terms. The more they talked, the more they knew there was a lot more to this story. And the more they pressed, the worse it was looking. And finally, Jordan, helped by her dad, who worked in law enforcement in another state, led detectives to an area 11 miles away from the apartment.
Welcome back. We are continuing to cover this breaking news just into CBS 46. We can confirm the missing Clark Atlanta student has been found dead in DeKalb County. Our sources are telling us that her body was found at Exchange Park in Decatur. That is near I-285 and Columbia Drive.
Today, Alexis's body was found in a park. Our investigators are working on securing arrest warrants for 2 individuals. The case has come to one of the saddest conclusions possible and has been absolutely heartbreaking.
On November the 8th, 1 week after she was reported missing, Alexis's body was found in a DeKalb County park, about 11 miles from her apartment. She had been strangled to death and stuffed into a bin. Shortly after, police announced that they had charged 2 people with premeditated murder, Jordan Jones and Barron Brantley. The student government president, Lavon Campbell, said the effect on campus was huge. Firstly, with the loss of Alexis, and then secondly, the thought that it was at the hands of 2 other known and well-liked students. The mood has been very hard. A lot of students have been trying to take into account what happened and just find answers to things we can't find answers to. The president released an open letter expressing the school's sadness and said the campus would provide grief counsellors on site to help everyone affected. And her father said, "If they wanted to take somebody's life, they could have taken mine. They didn't have to kill my baby." Surprisingly, Barron and Jordan were talking and starting to admit to what had happened to Alexis. Sometime before 3 a.m. on what was now the 31st of October, Jordan and Barron said that a fight had broken out between the girls, one that quickly became physical. When Barron heard the noise, he came out of Jordan's room and got involved as well. Things escalated so fast, and Barron admitted to choking her while Jordan grabbed a plastic bag, put it over her head at the same time, and smothered her. Barron told the investigators she was struggling to breathe and had the sound of agony. A surveillance video from the parking garage at the apartment then showed Jordan and Barron pulling Jordan's car up to a door at around 3 o'clock in the morning. Police believed that this was when Alexis's body was loaded into the vehicle. They had placed Alexis in a plastic bin from within the apartment, cleaned up the blood in the living room, and then moved her body to the Exchange Park in Decatur, Georgia, where they dumped her in the woods. They both returned to the apartment and went to sleep. Later that day, Jordan texted another friend asking her to replace the bin. She and Barron got ready and then went out to a Halloween party. Detectives concluded that both Jordan and Barron were equal and willing partners in this crime. Jordan turned off Alexis's phone, but continued to text it, pretending to worry about her. She posted on Instagram about her being missing, asking for help in locating her, a post which read in part, "This is obviously a difficult time for me and I just feel helpless. My heart is really hurting right now." There was absolutely no sense of remorse or care for anything that had happened to Alexis. They both carried on like nothing had happened. Police sprayed luminol and found blood in at least 6 different places in the living room, despite the cleanup. But who this blood came from and how it got there is not known. The motive has not clearly been established, and the ins and outs of the fight are not known. But given the fact that Alexis had filed her complaint on October 27th, 3 days before she disappeared, this has to be a possibility for why a fight broke out in the first place. However, police said that whether or not her complaint was a direct motive for killing her, or her murder came off the back of the fight, which escalated, remains to be uncovered. On November 16th, Alexis's funeral was held and streamed. It had a huge turnout, with many more watching. Jordan Jones and Baron Brantley were soon indicted by a grand jury.
People accused in the murder of a Clark Atlanta University student pleaded not guilty late this afternoon.
Both of them pleaded not guilty to their 6 charges which included felony murder, false imprisonment, and concealing the death of another. Baron was also charged with probation violations and hindering a person making an emergency telephone call. No rape or sexual assault charge was filed, and the district attorney's office announced it would not be seeking the death penalty for either of them. Baron was definitely known to law enforcement and had many prior arrests, including theft by taking, battery, traffic charges, fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer, family violence, and cruelty to children in the 3rd degree. He had been booked into that specific jail 5 times in 2 years.
No bond for a young woman accused of killing her friend who was also her roommate.
During today's virtual hearing, Crawford's mother and father pleaded with the judge to not issue a bond for Jones, with the mother's tearful plea saying her daughter's killing was senseless. Jones was previously denied bond, but today her attorneys asked the judge to reconsider, arguing she has helped with the investigation, has no previous criminal history other than a misdemeanor. They also pointed out that she has ties to the community and doesn't have a history of threatening or intimidating anyone. But prosecutors allege they found direct messages from Jones on social media encouraging Brantley to destroy surveillance video evidence from the apartment complex where Jones and Crawford lived. And they argued she was on probation for a DUI when Crawford was killed. Crawford's mother and father also addressed the judge during Jones's bond hearing today.
She died for no reason. No reason at all. Oh my God. But Jordan took me around. Jordan chose to go to the evil side.
They were both denied bail, with the judge saying Jordan posed a significant flight risk after it was revealed that just hours after Alexis died, she withdrew from school and was planning to move back home to Michigan with her parents. She had also tried to contact witnesses in the case. She had attempted to conceal evidence when she contacted Alexis's family members, telling them there was no DNA found on the rape kit, when in fact it had all come back to Baron. Her defense lawyer did not directly address that accusation, but said Jordan was supportive following the allegation of rape. But knowing what they knew about her letting Baron back into the apartment, this seemed a massive contradiction. Baron and Jordan were now both pointing fingers at each other and distancing themselves from what happened, and their attorneys have asked for the cases to be severed so that they can have separate murder trials. As well as the pushbacks due to the lockdown, another huge blow for the family and prosecution came when, in 2023,
new developments in the murder case of Clark Atlanta University student Alexis Crawford more than 3 years ago. During a hearing Friday, we learned her accused killer's confession cannot be used in court.
It was determined that Baron's confession could not be used as part of evidence. The ruling heard that because he was likely under the influence of drugs at the time, it had put detectives in a difficult position when it came to them proving they had not used this to their advantage in getting him to say something. But they said his confession was of his own free will, and a confession which matched Jordan's version of events too. And further pushbacks came when the court said they were considering letting Baron apply for bail, something which shocked everyone. The incessant pain we feel from the cold-blooded murder of Alexis at the hands of Baron Brantley and Jordan Jones whom we often welcomed into our home, is constant and nearly unbearable, Tammy wrote in a letter. I was deeply disturbed by the possibility of Barron being released on bond. Reverend Hutchins reiterated this and said, when you think about it, 2 21-year-olds took this young lady's life for no reason at all, just senselessly. It really is not just unexplainable, it's unspeakable, and really, it's evil personified. As of March 2023, there has still been no trial date set for either of them, and given the setbacks with evidence and bail, it is unclear just how long this will take. The long wait while the courts work away is nothing anyone can do to speed up. It is such a helpless position for Alexis's family and friends to be in. At just 21, Alexis was really only just beginning her life. In her last few days, she was betrayed in so many ways. To have her life taken in such a cruel and remorseless way adds more sadness to an already heartbreaking case. Her sister Alexandria said Alexis will always be her role model, her strength, and her aspiration. Her father said,
Hold on to your kids. Love them. Talk to them. Appreciate them and listening to them. Don't stop listening to your kid.
And Tammy added, while there is nothing that will bring my daughter back, jail without bail for her murderers would give me and my family some peace and security, while we wait for justice to finally be served.
For those of you that like to listen on the go, we now have our episodes in podcast form, and you can now find this via the link in our description box or by searching Truly Criminal Podcast on your podcasting platforms.